kind of like, there are two commands, del/question. I always use del, always. When I delete files from the command prompt, I use del. But notice that you could use either del or erase. Has always been this way as far back as I can remember. And as far as I know, there is no significant difference in either one. So it's a preference thing, okay? I don't see a lot of people use erase in industry, but it would accomplish the same thing, okay? So before we look at the delete command, I want to talk a little bit about the Recyclebin, okay? Because when you delete a command, when you delete a file at the command prompt, it doesn't use a Recyclebin. So first, to say that it doesn't use a Recyclebin, maybe it would be a good idea to make sure that you understand what the Recyclebin is. Okay, so again, you have this Recyclebin on your desktop in Windows. In again, lots of different versions of Windows, you have the Recyclebin. So when is the Recyclebin used? When is it used? When isn't it used? Anybody? When you're deleting an item, that's partially accurate. From where? From where? Okay? If you're deleting a file, from a fixed drive, okay, a fixed drive, so remember guys, oops, that's not the command prompt, is it? If I do fsutil fsinfo drive type c:, okay, that's a fixed drive. I do drive type t:, that's a fixed drive. I do drive type f:, no such drive. I don't know what drive, I just plugged this thumb drive in. I'm not really sure what drive it ended up being, so let's take a quick peek here. E. Okay, so I do e:, and it tells me it's a removable drive. So again, what type of drive is it? Okay, is it a fixed drive or is it a removable drive? Okay, if it's a fixed drive, then when you delete a file from the graphical interface, okay, not from the command line, okay, I go out to my graphical interface right now, and I go to my documents, and I delete tutorial for Smart Notebook. I press the delete key. Goes away, okay? When you delete a file from your hard drive, does it immediately go away, or do you get a prompt that says, do you want to move this to the Recyclebin? Anybody? Okay, and in Windows 10, and again, I don't remember which version of Windows 10 this changed, all previous versions of Windows, when you hit the delete key in the graphical user interface, it would typically pop up with a message that said, are you sure you want to move this to the Recyclebin? Okay, it doesn't do that anymore. It does move it to the Recyclebin, but it doesn't prompt you anymore. But that's just a setting. Okay, if I right-click on my Recyclebin and I go to Properties, you'll see this checkbox right here that says Display Delete Confirmation Dialog. It's not checked off. Okay, I'm going to check it off, and I'm going to click on OK. I'm going to go into my Recyclebin. There's the file that I just deleted. I'm going to right-click on that, and I'm going to restore it. It's now back in my Documents folder. There it is. Okay. So we understand that. That should not be new to you guys, that you can restore a file that you've deleted, assuming, of course, that file goes to the Recyclebin. Okay? If now I try to delete that file, oops. Now notice I get this message that says, are you sure you want to move this file to the Recyclebin? So it's at this point that you could say, yep or no. Okay, if you say no, then it's not going to delete the file. If you say yes, it's going to move the file to the Recyclebin. Regardless of whether I have changed that setting, I can permanently delete this file and bypass the Recyclebin by holding the Shift key and hitting delete, right? So again, if I click on the same file and I hold the Shift key and I hit the delete key, now notice the difference in this message. It says, are you sure you want to permanently delete this file? Okay? That means it's not going to move it to the Recyclebin. Okay, it's going to delete it. But we all know about slack space, right? Okay, so when I delete a file from a fixed drive, it goes to the Recyclebin. When I delete it from the Recyclebin, or if I bypass the Recyclebin at the time that I delete the file, that file, the clusters that the file was stored in are marked as available. but the data that was stored in that file is still in those clusters. So point being is that if I permanently deleted the file and went, oh, I need that file, then I could recover it through some third-party software. Okay, not with any built-in tool that Microsoft provides us, okay, but with, and I should hesitate to say that because it depends if it's a solid-state drive or not. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a bit too. If it's a solid-state drive, the chances of you recovering that file are way less than if it's a traditional drive. Okay, but there are a lot of free third-party programs that would allow you to recover that. So when I say that the delete command does not use the recycle bin, that's true for any drive, a fixed drive or a removable drive. Okay, so when I use the delete or the erase command, it bypasses the recycle bin. Okay, and by the way, I popped that E drive in just so that you could see that if I go to the E drive, which I have no files on, so that's not very helpful. I'm just going to put some files there real quick. Control C and go back out here and Control V. If I hit the delete key on a removable drive, okay, it doesn't ask me about the recycle bin regardless of whether that setting has been configured on the recycle bin. It's always going to say, do you want to permanently delete this file? If I use Shift Delete, then again, this time it's either way, it permanently deletes the file, but in both cases it just marks the cluster as available. Okay, Shift Delete just bypasses the recycle bin, but there really would be no point in doing that for a removable drive because the recycle bin is not used on a removable drive. Okay, concept's good? Okay, so then the delete command, just real quick, is, well, maybe let me just go over. So when you empty the recycle bin, when you delete a file on a fixed drive, and Shift Delete, when you delete a file on a removable drive, when you delete a file with delete command, all of these methods, as I said, are simply just marking the cluster as available. Okay, and with third-party software, you would be able to recover it. If you accidentally delete a file, if I accidentally delete a file from this thumb drive here, and I take the drive, I throw it in this box here, and in a month from now I try to recover that file, I'll probably be able to recover it, right? Okay, because I haven't used the drive since I deleted the file, so it's unlikely that the operating system is going to reuse those clusters. Okay, if I delete a file from this disk, and this is the disk that I use every single day, and I store files and delete files and store files and delete files and store files and delete files, modify and resave and so on, then the chances of recovering that deleted file are getting reduced each day, okay, for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm reusing that disk. Okay, when I'm saving more files on that disk, the operating system looks for available clusters. If the file was stored in a cluster and that cluster is marked as available, then the operating system very well may use it. Does that make sense? Okay, but if I have a 4 terabyte drive, okay, and I've used 100 meg of data, of space on that drive, it's probably not going to go back and use an old cluster. Okay, if I have a lot of free space on the drive, then the chances of recovering a deleted file have increased. If I have very little free space on the drive, then the chances of recovering that deleted file diminishes. Okay, because it increases the likelihood that the operating system is going to reuse that cluster. Okay, if I defrag my hard drive, okay, I covered defrag already, right? Okay, if I defrag my hard drive, that reduces the possibility of my being able to recover that file, because obviously defragging is in fact writing over clusters and so on. Okay, so lots of free software out there that is available. The one that I have used, and I've used quite a few of them, but the one that I like because the interface is very simple and it is truly free. Okay, sometimes you download something and it says it's free, but you don't get all the features that it can support, or it's only free for 60 days, or all different reasons. The program name, I think that it was developed by somebody that lived in Fall River. I only say that because the program's name is Recuva. R-E-C-U-V-A. Recuva. Okay, So you know, like Fall River. Okay, it's like, so again, it is RECUVA. It is truly 100% free. So if you ever actually deleted a file by mistake and you need to try to recover it, try it. It's free. It's pretty useful. Now I've also tried it on a solid state drive. Okay, I literally deleted a file intentionally and then immediately tried to recover it with third-party software. I used a number of different software and was not successful at all. Okay, so keep that in mind. There are some advantages to a solid-state drive. Speed is the main advantage, but in regards to recovering data from a drive, for you that you deleted by mistake, that's not a good thing. But for somebody else, recovering data from a drive that you didn't want them to see, that's good for you too, right? So again, on Thursday, no, today is Thursday. Okay, so I guess you're not getting a new homework assignment this week. I'm sure that disappoints all of you. We will finish up this topic on Tuesday. I do want to remind you, though, that next week we will only meet once. Thursday is professional day. Yeah, I have to be here, but you don't. So professional day means that we faculty members come in and do things that we don't want to do. But students, no classes on Thursday of next week. Okay, so next week we only meet once, which means we have some catching up to do. It doesn't, you don't make up, the day isn't made up. So next week, Thursday, you lose Thursday, but every other day is the same.